After 9 days off, the NASCAR Cup Series is back in action. The lone race this weekend in NASCAR, and they come back to New Hampshire. I'm going to break down my fantasy live analysis for you guys today, my predictions on who I think is going to win the race, as well as who is in my lineup for today's race. And it's going to start off, of course, as usual, with the drivers you should stay away from in the dark horse picks, and then your must-haves in everybody's lineup today. So, first and foremost, your guys that you do not want in your lineup. I do not want to see any of these four drivers in your lineup today, and they're all of Hendrick Motorsport drivers. Why all of Hendrick Motorsport drivers? Okay, so I had to double fact check this because I could not believe it when I saw it. In the last 6 races at New Hampshire, Hendrick Motorsports obviously has been fielding 4 cars each time. They have a grand total of 3 top 10s, and that includes an 8th by Jimmie Johnson, a 10th by Jimmie Johnson, both back in 2016, and Chase Elliott in 2018 finishing 5th. That is their only 3 top 10s. Chase Elliott has not finished in the top 10 in the last 5 races. He's been on a slump. That is outside of the All-Star race. That doesn't count because it's not a points-paying race. So, those last 5 races, again, he has not finished in the top 10. That team, in general, as a Hendrick Motorsports stable, is in a downward spiral right now. They do not look anything like they did at the very beginning of the year. They bring fast cars to the track, but they literally just cannot get, whether it's the luck, them putting themselves in a risky situation that doesn't pay off, or flat out their cars come to the track slow. Hendrick has not brought fast cars to New Hampshire. Obviously, with those statistics in recent years, again, last 6 races, only 3 top 10s. You're fielding 4 cars at a time, and that is all you could show for. William Byron and Alex Bowman have not finished in the top 10 in their careers at New Hampshire. Alex Bowman has been on a downward spiral as of late. He's only got 2 top 10s in the last 7 races, so that is not a good trend. Obviously, William Byron, right around that same program. He's only got 2 top 10s in the last 7 races also. It's just not... Hendrick is too risky to put in your lineup. There are so many better options that you can put in your lineup today. That is not any of one of those 4 drivers. So don't let your heart get in the way, because I know I want to see Jimmie Johnson do well in his final season. I just don't think that's going to be today at New Hampshire, at a track he hasn't performed at well in the last 4 years. Same goes for Chase Elliott. His 4 career seasons at New Hampshire in those 6 races. Again, his best finish is 5th, yes, but that is his only top 10. So his average finish there is not pretty at all. I do not want a guy with an average finish of roughly 15th or 16th at a certain racetrack in my lineup, especially, again, when he hasn't finished in the top 10 in the last 5 races, points main races, that is. So, yeah, Chase Elliott, no-go. Jimmie Johnson, no-go. Bowman, Byron, no-goes for today. Now my dark horse picks. So my dark horse picks, I know I seem to put this guy in my dark horse quite a bit, and it's almost turning into not being a dark horse pick. But Aric Almirola is a dark horse pick and is almost a must-have. He's on the pole today. He drew the pole once again, man. He's on the front row getting these lucky draws. The thing is, though, yeah, he's got that. He's also got a ride of momentum going for him right now. In the last 7 races, he's finished in the top 10, 5 of those in the top 5. His worst finish there is, well, he finished in 8th place and a 10th place in that span, too. So, yeah, Aric Almirola, he's on a hot streak. He's going to one of his better racetracks. Remember, 2 years ago, in 2018, he finished 3rd at this racetrack. Why is that relevant? Because we're racing that same package. We're not racing the package we had here last season when he didn't finish in the top 10. And he was obviously not as strong over the course of the season last year as what he has been this year, or the first year he stepped into the 10 car back in 2018. Aric Almirola, again, finished 3rd in that race. They had the lower, there's still the 750 horsepower for all racetracks at that time, but obviously they had the lower rear spoilers, which is the same package as what they are going to use for today's race. So I think that's going to play into Almirola's wheelhouse. Another driver I think that's going to play into his wheelhouse in my second dark horse pick is Matt DiBenedetto. DiBenedetto finished 5th here last season with Levine Family Racing. That was the best equipment he has ever brought to a racetrack week in and week out over the course of the year until this year, now that he's in Wood Brothers equipment and he's running in the playoffs as we speak. He's got a 38-point buffer above the cut line, so he's going to do whatever he can to get stage points throughout the course of the day, and I think at the end he can definitely be a top 10 contender for today's race. Matt DiBenedetto, yes, that 5th place finish was last year with the taller rear spoilers. It was a lot harder to pass than what you're going to see here today. Not that it's still going to be easy to pass at New Hampshire, but it will be a little easier, I guess, in a sense, than what it would have been last season. Matt DiBenedetto, with that 5th place finish, he loves these 750 horsepower racetracks that they go to. You can talk about how good that Wood Brothers program has been this year on the 550 horsepower tracks, but Matt DiBenedetto's wheelhouse is short tracks and road courses, and this plays like a short track with this package here today, and the fact that it's really flat. It's a 1-mile racetrack, a lot of braking. I think Matt DiBenedetto will be a guy to keep an eye out over the course of the day today, and again, because he is on the cut line, stage points will be at a premium. He is going to try his best to get rid of the bad luck he's had over the last 2 or 3 races. Points paying races, that is. So those are the dark horse picks. Now we're going to go into the must-haves in everybody's lineup today. The first must-have, first and foremost, Kevin Harvick. Yes, he's leading the point standings by over a full race right now. He's pretty much a lock at this point for the regular season championship, unless something goes haywire, like maybe Daytona and the Daytona road course. But unless that ends up happening, I don't see him losing it. So he's going to strictly be going for playoff points today, not stage points. But at the same time, the way the first 2 stages play out, I don't think they have to make a pit stop, if I'm not mistaken, in the first 2 stages of the race, if they're the same lengths as last year, which were 75, 75, and 151. So if that's the case, and they don't have to make a green flag stop, Harvick already starting inside the top 12. And Sam obviously went for SHR teammate Eric Almirola. But regardless of the fact, Harvick's been good here. 3 of the last 5 races he has won. He has finished in the top 10 in all 5 of those races. And obviously he ended up winning the last 2 races here at New Hampshire. And kind of spectacular finishes in a sense. So Kevin Harvick is definitely a guy to have in your lineup today. He's a must-have in my lineup. Even though I can only use him one more time, I guarantee he's going to compete for the win here today once again. Another driver that is a must-have in everybody's lineup today, I think you look to Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is on a upward trend as of late. I'm going to count the All-Star race because he carried momentum not only into the All-Star race, but excluding the All-Star race. That's the only time I bring exhibition races into fruition. Unlike Chase Elliott, where yes, he got the win in the All-Star race, he didn't do anything the few weeks leading up to that or the few weeks after it. So that leads me to believe no room for Elliott to be in the lineup, but Kyle Busch is a must-have in my lineup today. He's won here once in the last 5 races, but not only that, he has finished in the top 10 4 times, with finishing in the top 5 3 times, and a runner-up finish 2 years ago as well. He won back in 2017 in the playoff race here. Kyle Busch is a must-have in my lineup here today. And again, he has been performing a lot better as of late. He's got 3 top 5s in the last 4 races, if you include the All-Star race. And he has finished in the top 10 in every single one of those races. So Kyle Busch is a must-have in my lineup today. Another must-have in my lineup here in today's race is probably going to be Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin, again, this is one of his better racetracks. He's having probably the best season statistically in his career up to this point. And we thought that was going to end up being last season in his best shot for the championship. I think so far this season is probably the best year of his career. He's in his late 30s. He's fighting hard for every win he can get. He never knows when it'll be his last. And Denny Hamlin, again, he's won the most races this season. He won here at New Hampshire just 2 years ago, 2017, in the spring race, or the summer race, I should say. The first race at New Hampshire, he won here. He is this track plays into his wheelhouse. He finished runner-up last season also. If it wasn't for him and Harvick going back and forth on the last lap, maybe he could have gotten the win if maybe he didn't use the bumper too early and Harvick used the bumper later. So Denny Hamlin, I think he's a must-have in everybody's lineup today as well. So now let's take a look at who is in my lineup for today's race. All right, so here is who I'm going to put in my fantasy team for today's race at New Hampshire. So you take a look at who the team was for last week's race at Kansas, and it wasn't the greatest race for me. I did lose a couple thousand in the point standings. It was a decent race. You know, I scored a decent amount of points, but it just seemed like I think a lot of people had a lot of the front runners in the race, and I only had about 4 of them because that fifth driver in my lineup really ended up lacking at the end of the race. Well, fourth and fifth driver for that matter, Kurt Busch and Chase Elliott. So this week we're going to change the lineup up a little bit, actually quite a bit from where last week's race was based off of the statistical analysis that I just mentioned. So to start off in the lineup, We're going to keep Aric Almirola this week. We're likely going to end up starting him in the garage because compared to these first 5 drivers, as far as their statistical success in recent years at New Hampshire, I'm going to trust on top of how they've been performing a lot better. Now, not that Almirola's statistical success is too bad here at this racetrack, but comparative to the other 5 that I'll have in my starting lineup at the beginning of the race, that's why I'll start him in the garage, but I'll have to keep a close eye on him because, again, he's got that top 10 streak on the line, so he has been bringing great cars. His team has been bringing great cars to the racetrack, so I would lean more towards that way. We're going to take Kurt Busch out of the lineup this week. We're going to throw his younger brother Kyle Busch in the mix instead. We're going to take Chase Elliott out, and we're going to put Kevin Harvick in. So 2 of the locks, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, are going in the lineup as mentioned. We're going to keep Ryan Blaney in the lineup this week. Again, 3 straight top 10s at the racetrack, and again, he has been pretty solid this year. It's just a matter of whether or not is he going to finish this race in the top 5 or even top 10 for that matter, or will something crazy go wrong? We'll just have to wait and see. We're going to take Tyler Reddick out of the lineup now. We're going to throw Martin Truex Jr. in there because Truex was close to being a solid black on my team. Again, just left him off of there. I think he can contend. He's been picking up the pace a little bit over the last couple races as well, quietly but surely. And then on top of that, again, 3 top 5s in the last, 3 top 10s with 2 top 5s in the last 5 races here at this racetrack. So we're going to put Truex in the lineup, and we're going to take Bowman out of the lineup. He's been pretty much struggling. He does have 2 top 10s in the last couple races, but it's just not worth it. So we're going to take Bowman out, and we're going to put Denny Hamlin in the lineup today. So it's a little risky playing a lot of the heavy hitters this week, knowing there's still 6 races left in the regular season for me, because this will be the last time I use Harvick unless he wrecks out within the first 2 stages dramatically. Because if that will be the case, then obviously I could throw him in the garage and we can use him probably at Michigan next week because he's really good there. So we're going to take, again, Bowman out of the lineup, and we're going to put Denny Hamlin in. And then again, at the start of the race, I'm going to have Hamlin in for Almirola as far as in the starting lineup. Now I got to predict the stage winner for each of the 2 stages as well as the race winner. So I like the strategy I've been doing the last couple weeks, literally picking this stage winner as the race winner each time. It's working out for the most part, at least getting me a couple, perhaps like a couple different bonus points, whether it's 10 or 20. So we're going to, it's just tough. So Denny Hamlin coming off of a recent win, and he does have good track history at New Hampshire. But outside of his runner-up finish last year and his win, those are his only 2 top 10s at the track in the last 5 years. So I'm going to stay away from him. He's inconsistent this year is the problem. Like, he's 4th in the standings, which shows consistency. A lot of that is because of his 5 wins. But he's nowhere near as consistent as, say, Kevin Harvick. And again, I lean more towards Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick. Harvick's definitely the safer pick than Kyle Busch, but Busch has been picking up the slack, like I mentioned also. Over the last couple weeks alone, has been threats late in the race to win, which we haven't seen that much out of him this year, where Harvick continues to keep its consistency, even with bad cars, both last week at Kansas and this week, or in the week before at Texas. He almost won the race, as well as Kentucky even. You could throw that in the mix, too, of cars that he probably shouldn't have finished in the top 5 or competed in the top 5. Or even like Kentucky and Texas, in the top 10 for the most part, he ended up getting the job done. So, getting those top 10s. So I think it's more consistent. Harvick is definitely the safe pick, and it's hard to bet against him between Harvick and Kyle Busch for sure. I'm going to go Kevin Harvick to win at New Hampshire here today. So that also means I'll take Ford for victory lane, of course. So Kevin Harvick from the 7th starting spot. Also, Aric Almirola on the pole once again. He has started on the front row. I think the stat line was all but 2 or 3 races since I've been doing this random draw. Or no, that's not right. He started in the top 10, like 2, or top row, like 2. Man, I can't remember the stat line. I might say it before. I'm recording this before I record the the earlier part, so I probably would have mentioned it by then. But yeah. Anyway, Ford victory lane. And there we go. So that will be my lineup here for today's race at New Hampshire. So again, I'm going to throw Almirola in the garage here to start. No, that's not what I want to do. We'll just do it at the start of the race. All right, so there's a look at the lineup. There's the 6 guys that I'm going to have here towards the start of the race. I'm pretty confident with my picks this week. We need to jump up in the rankings. We need to have a big week at New Hampshire here. So I think this is the heavy-hitting lineup that could do it. And again, Kevin Harvick might pick to win the race. And if he doesn't win the race, as long as he can win a stage or 2 along the way, or a Ford gets to victory lane 2, I think that's going to be a great shot. Now, here's the thing, though. I was almost leaning towards taking manufacturer as Toyota, just simply because Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin would probably be my second and third favorites to win the race. Behind Harvick. Harvick really being the only Ford I think they could contend for a win, although I have Almirola and Blaney in the lineup. I just don't think they're going to contend for a win in the race, but I think they're solidly going to get in the top 10, score a lot of stage points and race points, so that's why they're in the lineup. But anyway, that is going to wrap it up here for today's prediction / fantasy analysis video. Come back after the race for more details on how the fantasy team did this week, as well as my thoughts on the race here at New Hampshire today. So hit the subscribe button for more daily NASCAR content. Hit the like button down below if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.